Hello, my most likely new friends. Limo is here. In this guide, you will learn how to play Honor of Kings correctly. It doesn't matter if you're completely new or have played already 100 or even 1000 matches. There's something to learn for everyone. If you want to introduce HOK to a friend, you can show them this video as a starting point. So enough blah blah, we start with number 1. Laning. There are 3 lanes in the game: the clash lane, mid lane, and farm lane. Each lane has same minions. After 4 minutes, all lanes' minion waves will enhance. The jungle area is pitted between the lanes. This place is full of creeps with different buffs. Beyond the river area is the enemy's territory, which can be very dangerous to enter since your enemies roam around there. That's it for the map. Next we have number 2, roles. There are 5 hero roles in total. Normally each will have their own respective lane to go. Marksmen have high damage output, but marksmen are very easy to kill, which is why they stay in the back, to deal damage from a safe distance. Marksmen are the main carrier of the team, who are able to carry their team to victory in the late stage of the game. They are very weak in the early game though, because they need a couple of items to deal a good amount of damage. That's why your enemies will love to fight you in the early game, because you are pretty much defenseless without help. Marksmen usually go to the farm lane to get as much gold as possible and try to farm safely to get the items as fast as possible. Mages have high magic damage but also low defense. They also stay at the back line and use their skills to torment the enemies. Mages are the second core of the team, because they are able to deal a high amount of damage throughout the whole game. Most of them have their power spike on level 4 when they unlock their ultimate. Mages go to the mid lane and rotate around the map to help the allies to fight around the river area. On the 2 sidelines, fighters are the all-rounders of the team. They deal less damage than the marksman or mage, but they have the ability to sustain more damage, which they obviously need, since they fight in the front line. The job of a fighter is to manage their lane and be prepared to join the team fight if necessary. They usually go to the clash lane and have a nice and clean 1v1. Fight against the prick of the enemy team. Sometimes your allies or enemies come to your lane though, so don't ignore the thing that is glued on the top left of your screen, which is the minimap and your most important tool. More about that in a second. Assassins have a high amount of burst damage, which means they can deal massive amount of damage in a very short time, and they have good mobility. But as you guessed already, I think low defense. And once they doubt the damage, they become a sitting duck. They usually go into the jungle with a smite spell equipped, which means they can hire gold and EXP by clearing jungle creeps, but don't get gold and EXP from minions in the first 4 minutes of the game. So they roam around the jungle area to farm and end up on one of the 2 sidelines where they try to execute the counterpart of their ally, or they sneak up on an unsuspecting enemy who runs around the river area like a headless chicken and teach them why they really shouldn't do that. Assassins have their power spike once they unlock the ultimate, but fall off the cliff in the late game when all enemies stack together, since their specialty is to kill single targets. Supports have low damage and medium defense. Usually they come with a unique set of skills to support their allies with buffs such as healing, shields, or movement speeds, hence the name support. They don't need many items to be effective, so they usually get the roaming items at the beginning of the match. This means you won't get any gold or EXP from minions or jungle creeps, but to automatically get gold and XP, so you won't steal any farm from your allies who need items, but you're still able to get the items that you need. Tanks have a lot of HP and defense, but can't deal a lot of damage. They're the punching bag of the enemies, who try to soak up as much damage as possible in a battle. Many of them also have strong crowd control abilities to inflict bad statuses on the enemies like slows or stuns. They also get the roaming items because they can be effective without items as well. You should only have 1 hero in the team with roaming items, so usually either have 1 support or 1 tank in the team. Of course, this is just the absolute basic when it comes to the roles. For now, it's enough to know that you have a balanced lineup, when every hero in the team has a different role. Number 3, farming and getting items. First, we talk about levels. Your hero's level has an important effect because after every level up, you can increase the level of one of your skills. This, for example, can increase the damage, reduce the cooldown time, etc. Gold, on the other hand, gives the game more depth. You need gold in order to buy items for your hero. It can be bought by tapping on the item on the top right corner, or manually by going into the shop and choose the one that you need. Every item is either there to enhance your hero's damage or to give you the ability to sustain damage from your enemies. But before we get into the details, we need to learn first how to get gold and EXP in the most efficient way. The most common way is to murder those poor minions on your lane, or to beat the river sprite and the other jungle creeps. If you're the jungler, when a minion from your enemies dies in your area, you'll receive gold and XP from it. If you manage to last hit the minion, you even get around 20 to 30% extra gold. So always practice to last hit the minions instead of attacking them mindlessly. Another way to gain more farm is to kill the enemy heroes. It gives you extra gold and also delays their ability to farm, since they can't do anything while eating a load of mud. Of course, 1 single death might look like a small matter at first, but continuously dying means you can't get any gold or EXP, while giving the enemy a lot of extra gold, which they can use to get better items, which means it becomes easier for them to kill you again. This is what you call snowballing. So the best practice for you as a beginner is don't die, unless you're the tank whose job is to protect the allies. As I already mentioned before, the jungler has to farm differently than the rest of the team. They run around the jungle area and torment poor creatures living within it. Since jungle creeps have a longer respawn time than minion waves, the only way to get extra gold in the early game is firstly going to the lanes and kill the enemies there, or secondly taking down neutral objectives like the Overlord and Tyrant. Your jungle area is usually free of enemies, at least on the lower ranks, and since no enemy knows where you are right now, it gives you the advantage to ambush the enemy's laner. If you're not the jungler though, keep at least one eye on the minimap and see if there's an enemy missing on it. As a laner, you always have to assume that the missing enemies are on their way to you. This might be a little challenging in the beginning, but practicing this early will save you a lot of headaches. Trust me, checking the minimap non-stop is also super important as a roamer, because as I said before, it's their job to protect their allies. They don't need to worry about farming, so your job is to anticipate where and when the enemies attack your squishy allies, which makes the roamer job one of the hardest but also one of the most important. There's nothing scarier in the game than a very strong roamer. Now that you learned how to farm, let's talk about how you spend your gold. The items are separated into 4 sections: attack, magic, defense, and boots. Attack items increase your physical damage. This is usually used by marksmen, fighters, and assassins. Magic items increase your magic damage. These are mainly used by mages and some hybrid heroes. Defense items increase your durability, which is important for tanks and some fighters. Lastly, boots increase your movement speed and often come with additional bonuses like cooldown reduction or extra attack speed. Building the right items for your hero is crucial. Always pay attention to the enemy team's composition and adjust your build accordingly. For example, if the enemy team has a lot of magic damage dealers, consider building magic resistance items like Long Night Guardian, Eye of the Phoenix, or Succubus Cloak. Finally, let's talk about objectives. There are several key objectives on the map that can give your team a significant advantage. The Tyrant and Overlord is a powerful neutral objective that spawns in the river area. Defeating the Tyrant grants your team extra gold and experience, and defeating the Overlord grants a powerful buff to your entire team. After the Tyrant and Overlord, the Tempest Dragon spawns around 20 minutes. Defeating it grants a powerful team buff, and the Tempest Blessing, which boosts attack power, cooldown reduction, and movement speed. Securing it provides a strategic advantage and pressures the enemy team to coordinate with your team to defeat it. Always keep an eye on the minimap and communicate with your team to secure these objectives. Taking down turrets, the Tyrant or Overlord, and the Tempest Dragon can turn the tide of the game in your favor. And that wraps up our beginner's guide to Honor of Kings. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be discouraged if you don't win every game. Learn from your mistakes and keep improving. If you found this guide helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Honor of Kings content. Thank you for watching, and good luck on the battlefield.